What's going on in the Phoenix metro housing market in May of 2020? I've got all that info for you starting right now. Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin McKegg, a realtor here in Phoenix, Arizona. That is my dog Cleo. She is not strategically placed there, but did decide she wanted to make an appearance, so you're welcome. Today I'm talking about what's going on in the Phoenix housing market in its May of 2020. Before I give you that update, I just want to say I have lots of you reaching out to me about buying homes and selling homes in Phoenix, and I just want you to know thank you, and I'm happy to help. So if you are thinking about any of that, you can reach out to me by call, text, or email. I'm happy to help you any way I can. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I post new videos every Friday and I talk about things like the housing market update, and I also talk about things like how to prepare your home for sale, things you need to know as a buyer, and just things about living in Phoenix in general. So you want to make sure you don't miss that. I'm also on social media, so check out my channels there and keep up to date. Anyway, let's jump in. So a lot has been going on in the Phoenix housing market over the last month and a half, 2 months, because coronavirus. And if you haven't heard enough about it already, you're gonna hear more about it because it has affected our housing market. But here's the great thing. One of the first things that happened coming out of that is everyone had recency bias from our 2008 market crash and thought prices were going to fall. But guess what? They haven't. And they're not supposed to fall. And the reason for that is because here in Phoenix Metro, we have such little supply and so much demand. And when you have that type of situation, prices increase or stay stable, they do not decrease. So the good news, if you just bought a home, is that your home price is not going to fall. The bad news, if you're thinking about buying a home, prices aren't going to fall and there isn't going to be a crash anytime soon here in Phoenix. So you might want to decide that now is a good time to jump in and find that house before prices start to rise. Okay, so here are the data points. Our closed sales are down 31%. And this makes total sense, right? Because we had no activity going on in March and April for the most part. So if nothing was opened, there's nothing to close. So that number is down, but it makes sense why that number is down. Our number of homes under contract saw a huge spike last week, and it's actually up 40% in the last 4 weeks. As I mentioned, there was not a lot of activity going on right after coronavirus and the stay-at-home orders hit here. So we didn't have a lot of new contracts taking place. During that time, our contract activity dropped by 39%. Now that we're starting to come out of our homes again, we are seeing more homes get under contract, and that number has spiked. Now, the effect of the decline in closed sales, that 31% number, is now beginning to be reported because now is when we see those closings occur. Keep in mind that number is going to look bad, but it's a lagging data point. All of that activity happened 4 weeks ago. And 4 weeks from now, we'll likely see a spike in closings because we have so many new homes going under contract. Now, even though we've had an increase in homes going under contract over the last 4 weeks and specifically last week, we are still under the number of homes that we had under contract last year at this time by 20%. Again, I mentioned that demand is high and supply is low. Well, there's your proof in the pudding. Our listing price per square foot is another data point that we want to be looking at, and this hasn't changed much. In the price point below $500,000, our list price per square foot is either the same or higher than it was 10 weeks ago in February. So not much has changed there. Okay, so as a buyer, what happens if you were thinking, dang, I thought prices were gonna fall and I was gonna jump at that opportunity to get a great price on a home? Well, not all is lost because, as I've said before, interest rates play a huge role in your affordability. And even though prices are still high and continuing to increase, our interest rates are actually really low. They're sitting at about 3.26% right now, and last year at this time, they were around 4.1. Let me tell you how this can affect your affordability. When you're looking at the monthly mortgage payment, the interest rate makes a huge difference on what you're paying out of pocket on a monthly basis. For example, if you're purchasing a home at $300,000 with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, your monthly payment is about $1,307 as compared to $1,450 at a higher interest rate. Your monthly payment is about $1,307 a month at a lower interest rate as compared to that 4.1 interest rate last year. You were paying about $1,450 a month. That's down about $143 and 10% over the course of a year. So although our prices have increased and the median sales price here in Phoenix has increased by about 8.9% compared to last year, your mortgage payment might actually be lower just because of these interest rates. So home prices aren't the only thing to watch. Those interest rates are going to be important as well. If you're a seller, you've heard me say before that we're in a seller's market and supply is really low, and that remains to be the case. Supply is on a downward trend. We're actually 15% lower than we were at this time last year. This has remained stable through our stay-at-home order, but now that we have our listings under contract going up and seeing more of those available listings going under contract, that's taking away the supply even further, which pushes our market even further into a seller's market. Talking about the housing market over $500,000, that luxury market, it's recovering a little bit slower than other price ranges here in Phoenix. The drop in listings under contract in that price range dropped by 58% when all of this began, which was pretty staggering. Over the last 4 weeks, contract activity in the 500,000 plus price ranges increased by 65%. But get this, it's still down 30% from our peak back in February, right before coronavirus. Now, you might think that with all of these drastic changes in the luxury market over 500,000, we might see prices drop, but that's actually not what happened. Sellers in this price range could afford to take their home off the market and not sell it after all. So rather than dropping prices, we just saw a lot of homes in the luxury market go off the market temporarily and beginning to see those coming back on. When these sellers took their homes off the market, whether canceling or taking them off temporarily, this further reduced our supply here in Phoenix and mitigated the loss in demand that we saw when people weren't leaving their homes to go house hunting. As a result, the sales prices in the range over 500,000 remain stable, and they're actually up 0.9% from last year. So the biggest news in all of this is that our listings under contract saw a huge spike. And to illustrate this to you, I want you to take a look at this graph. 2020 is the red line that you're seeing here, and you can see where everything kind of went into a downward spiral right when the stay-at-home orders started here in Phoenix. And then we stayed low for a few weeks, and all of a sudden a big spike last week. This is great news, showing that the real estate market activity is coming back and people are still able to buy and sell homes. Now, there's one more graph that I want to show you, and this is in relation to active listings. I talk a lot about supply and demand in this market, and one of the points that I try to hammer home is that prices are not going to fall when we have such little supply and high demand. It's basic economics. The reason that prices fell in 2008, or one of the many reasons, is because we had way more supply than we had demand. So you can assume that if you don't have enough buyers for the product that you're selling, you start to drop that price to see if you can get some buyers. That's not even close to the case this time. Look at this graph. This graph is showing our number of active listings, and this goes all the way back to 2002. You can see in 2004 and 5 that we were low in our number of active listings, and then a huge spike as we get into 2006, 7, and 8. If you look at where we're at here in 2020, our number of active listings is significantly lower than we were at the peak in 2008. This is a perfect example showing that our supply is so low and demand is still there. Therefore, prices are not going to be falling, and definitely not falling off a cliff overnight. So, moral of the story, our real estate market here in Phoenix is still moving. It did take a little bit of a break and was somewhat slow over the last month or so, but we're starting to come back, seeing more people writing contracts, seeing more homes being listed for sale, and seeing more buyers going out there to look at homes. We're still in a seller's market, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. The only city that has seen a significant change in seller's market versus buyer's market is Paradise Valley. Paradise Valley is actually in a balanced market at this time. So if that's an area you were thinking about buying in, now might be a great time to go out and find a property and beat out the competition, because you have more options to choose from than you would have weeks prior. Our demand is strong, our supply is short, so we have no concern about prices falling in the near term or medium term. It'll be interesting to see how this progresses through the summer, especially because March and April are usually our biggest months for real estate here in Phoenix. Since we kind of missed out on those, we'll see if we have a busier summer. I'll be back every month to share an update on where the real estate market is in Phoenix. And if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me. Also, if this has gotten you interested in either buying or selling, give me a call. I'm happy to talk to you about all of that and see if I can help guide you in the right direction. For watching this video, I will let you search my MLS. So click the link below for a list of homes for sale in Phoenix and search the MLS yourself. As always, I thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry Cleo decided to leave and didn't want to say bye to everyone, but I appreciate you watching. I'm Caitlin McKegg with Berkshire Hathaway. Have a great day.